As you can see, I have no picture of the movie I'm going to be reviewing today, no title of the movie I'm going to be reviewing today on my TV screen. That's not because I couldn't find a picture or find a title of the movie. No, that's pretty much easy because I have the internet on my Blu-ray player here. No, I put this up here to represent something. I put this black, empty, void screen, void of anything interesting on my TV screen as a symbol to symbolize the director, the producers, and the writers of this movie I'm reviewing today, X-Men Origins Wolverine, as a symbol and symbolic of their black, empty, dark hearts that just don't give a shit about what they did and what they were doing while making this movie, X-Men Origins Wolverine. And as you can probably tell, yes, I'm reviewing this movie today because we have a new Wolverine movie coming out this Friday. Which probably begs the question, why am I reviewing all the other previous X-Men movies that had come out before this, such as X-Men, X-Men 2, X-Men 3 Last Stand, X-Men First Class? Well, to be fair, I found it more suitable to save those movies for next year when I go and I review all those movies leading up to X-Men Days of Future Past, or just X-Men 4, as a lot of people are going to be calling it. And I found it suitable to just review the other single standalone Wolverine movie for when the new Wolverine movie's coming out. So that's why I'm not going to be reviewing all the other team-up X-Men movies. I'm going to be saving them for next year when I do something like X month when Days of Future Past is about to come out. So that's pretty much why I'm not going, to review those. And that's why I'm just reviewing Wolverine this time, because it's just a single standalone new Wolverine movie coming out, so I might as well review the other old standalone Wolverine movie coming out. And with that said, let's get this review started. Now, to sum up this movie, it's horrible. It's probably one of the worst comic book movies of all time, if not the worst comic book movie of all time. It has horrible special effects, pointless characters just thrown in there just to please fanboys and fangirls alike, and has one of the worst representations of any comic book character ever. Not even one of the worst. It is the absolute worst representation of any comic book character ever. And I'll get to that very soon. And if you've seen this movie, if you hate this movie especially, you can probably already tell what that character is. But why was there an X-Men Origins movie? Why did Wolverine get a spin-off Origins movie? I mean, I understand he is the most popular X-Men character, and everyone knows who, Wolverine is, and some people even call him X-Man. His name is Wolverine. That's why he has that name. So, why was there an X-Men Origins Wolverine movie? Well, this was because, one, they wanted to kick off a whole franchise of X-Men Origin movies with the title X-Men Origins in it. In fact, they were even going to do an X-Men Origins Magneto movie afterwards, but then that slowly got crafted and turned into X-Men First Class. But my problem with why they made a X-Men Origins Wolverine movie especially, my problem with that is that Wolverine in the other three X-Men movies, and this is one complaint that I will go into next year when I review the X-Men movies, is that he was a character that got the most screen time and the most development. Why? Well, because he was the most famous of the X-Men characters. No one really knows who Cyclops is, or Storm, or Jean Grey, or Beast, or anyone else. They all know Wolverine, so it only makes sense to give him more screen time and more development. So that begs the question, why was an X-Men Origins Wolverine movie necessary? We already got his, development in those other movies. Why do we need that here? Just to tell us how he lost his memory? Why? Just pretty much to tell us why he lost his memory. And even then, the way he loses his memory is completely stupid and just unrealistic and just really, really stupid. Well, not unrealistic, it is a comic book movie, but it's just silly. It makes absolutely no damn sense at all. And if you really want an X-Men origin movie that does actually go into Wolverine's backstory, but also keeps a little bit open for interpretation, just go watch X-Men 2. It pretty much goes into how Wolverine became Wolverine, why he doesn't have any memories, and pretty much who made him who he is today. Just go watch that movie. Really, the only thing that you need the only thing here that gives you that is his brother. Like, the only thing in this movie that's not given in X-Men 2 is that, who his brother is and how long he's been living and stuff like that. That is one of the only things I can actually say is good about this movie, is the opening title, seeing Wolverine, born in the 1700s and pretty much, enlisting in every single world war, not only world war, but pretty much every single major war in America. That was a very cool title, but why the hell was Captain America in there? I mean, I know it's Fox and whatever, but I know it's Fox and Marvel isn't allowed to, and Fox isn't allowed to show Marvel characters, but how awesome would that have been? I think that would have been worth the price of admission alone, but no. Another bad problem, or just really big problem in this movie, is the special effects, which are absolutely horrible. I mean, especially on Wolverine's claws. That was some of the worst special effects I've ever seen in my entire life, which is really saying something because the first X-Men movie came out like 9 years before this, in like 2000, I believe, and they made Wolverine's claws look really, really good, and that was in 2000. This is 2009. Shouldn't special effects over time get better, not progressively worse? I mean, it's an easy special effect. All you have to do is put kitchen knives in between the guy's knuckles, and boom, that's Wolverine right there. But no, they make it look like, they don't even look CG, they look like drawn on in Photoshop. I could have done a better job, and I wouldn't even know how to use Photoshop. And another thing is, before this movie was released, there was actually a leaked version of this movie online that was actually leaked by someone at Fox. And none of the special effects were put in, like any scene where it's obviously green screen. It literally is just a green screen. None of the effects are put in. Anytime it's Wolverine's claws, they are gray and not, the animation isn't finished on them. I honestly don't think you could have told the difference between that version of the movie and this version of the movie. That's just how bad the special effects are in this movie. They're horrible. They're laughably bad, and some of the worst special effects ever, which are really kind of your big thing when your character has claws coming out of his knuckles. You have to have your special effects be really, really good. Another big problem with this movie are just the overabundance of mutant characters that are in this movie, which is customary in an X-Men movie. It's an X-Men movie. You gotta have a bunch of mutants show up, and you gotta have them do, cool stuff. But in the other X-Men movies, it made sense why those characters were there, like Jean Grey and Cyclops and, Rogue and Storm and all those, because they're a part of a team. They just throw in any single X-Men character that fans will know of, but no real general audience member will know of, just because they can in this movie, and they have it absolutely pay off to nothing. I think the only one that's actually worth mentioning is Blob, mostly because the special effects for it mostly because the effects for how they did it are pretty good. Most of them actually were practical effects. No, not really a whole much CGI. Like the actor who played him actually had to, put on like an actual big, nice, practical-looking fat suit, which I definitely, again, do have to give credit to this movie for. And he actually is kind of put in the movie because they need information from him to, get the plot moving along. But characters like Emma Frost or Cyclops and Gambit have absolutely pretty much no purpose in the movie. Well, Gambit does fly, Wolverine to the 3 Mile Island, but anything else is just horrible. And that is another bad thing about this movie. But yeah, none of the X-Men characters have any real purpose to be in the movie other than, hey, we're here because we like to please the fanboys. And also another bad thing about this movie, like I was about to get to, was Gambit, who was in the movie for exactly 5 minutes. I mean, I think Ironmonger from Iron Man and Venom from Spider-Man 3 actually had more screen time than this guy. Especially because, and this is a big problem because he's a big X-Men character, and he is a big, X-Men character and he has a lot of fans, that are X-Men fans. He's a big character in the X-Men comics, and he's a big part of the X-Men team, who is now brought to an X-Men movie the 4th time in a row. Trying to think of what I'm about to say. Gambit was an X-Men, he's part of the main X-Men team, but was never shown in, the other X-Men movies, but then again, Angel didn't show up until the 3rd movie, and he sucked in that movie, so there really is no big, complaint about those movies not having Gambit, or even Jubilee, for that matter, in those X-Men movies. But the main problem with Gambit in this movie is that he's totally shafted in and he's only in it for, like, 5 minutes. And this is the 4th X-Men movie we finally got, and we finally get Gambit. He's barely in it. And at the time, I wasn't that much of a big X-Men fan. I barely knew who this character was. But if I was a big X-Men fan at the time, I would have been pissed. In fact, I'm pissed about that now. He is completely shafted into the movie for no reason at all. If you switch these two characters, if you switched one character, if you took Gambit out and replaced him with a completely different X-Men character, there would be absolutely no difference, because he's just there just to fly Wolverine to, 3 Mile Island, and that's pretty much about it, which, again, you can just have any other character do that. You didn't need to have Gambit. You could have made up a character. You could have just done that. You could have just made up a character. But yeah, the 4th X-Men movie we finally get Gambit, and he's completely shafted. That's horrible. And I wasn't that big of an X-Men fan when this movie first came out. Yeah, I still hated it. Didn't really know much about this character Gambit, but you know what? Now it pisses me off. So there's that. Also, one of the Black Eyed Peas, Will I Am, is in this movie as a guy who can teleport. I don't even need to go into why that's a bad decision. You can just, it's what I am in an X-Men movie. There's the problem alone. Also, something that I just never liked about Wolverine in general is that he could never die, which, yeah, in a way can actually be kind of interesting because, well, one, he can't die, and that does lead into a storyline of, like, well, he's, been living forever, and everyone that he's loved, or his, friends, or just loved ones in general, are dying while he is cursed to walk the world, for eternity, because, he can't die. That is kind of interesting, and we will probably get a lot of that, in the Wolverine coming out this Friday. But I just thought he was always just such an uninteresting character because there was no, there's no suspense. Like, whenever he was, fighting, a big bad guy, and it looked like he was about to die, he's not going to die because he can't die. He's made of adamantium, and he has the healing factor and whatever. There was no, suspense. There was no, oh my god. There was, oh my god, maybe he is going to die because he doesn't die. He just regenerates, and he doesn't die. Unless, whatever they inject him in, whatever crap they inject, Wolverine with in the Wolverine, I guess he will die. But that was just something I never liked about Wolverine in general. He can't die, and that's not really all that interesting. And that especially showed here because him and his brother, Sabretooth, can Sabretooth die? I don't think he can. Who knows? But Sabretooth and Wolverine can't die, yet they're always fighting each other, they're always clawing at each other, punching each other, and everything. There's no suspense. You're just sitting there going, they can't die. There's no suspense. Why should I at all get emotionally invested in this? Because I'm not. They can't die. They can't even hurt each other because they just heal. There's no suspense. So I'm not at all thrilled or excited or anything because they can't die. We know that he's going to live. That's actually a double dip of just absolute horrible problem. Is that one, he can't die, so we know that he's gonna live, and two, it's a prequel, so we definitely know he's not gonna live. So there's a double trouble of how we know he's gonna live. I hate prequels just in general of that. If they have old characters from the other first movies coming back, and in the prequel we have no suspense for them because they can't die because they have to go and make those movies. I hate prequels just for that alone. I mean, some prequels are good, but we know they're going to live because it's a prequel. And then we especially know that Wolverine's going to live in this movie because, one, it's prequel, and two, he can't die. So there's no suspense, whatsoever. Maybe with, the characters that they just brought in for this movie, but other than that, there's really nothing else. It's just, he's just Wolverine, he can't die. Maybe he has some suspense for the other characters that they just brought in just for this movie, just now. But for Wolverine or anybody else that was in the other X-Men movies, no reason at all. And Cyclops has a pointless moment, is totally pointless in this movie. He's just another one of the, mutants that gets kidnapped and brought to 3 Mile Island to create Weapon 11. And I'll get to that in a minute. That's my main problem with this movie. Yeah, I think I will get to Deadpool right now, because I really can't think of anything else bad about this. But yeah, Weapon 11 is kind of our main villain in this movie, next to General Stryker, Wolverine's, ex-mentor, I guess. And Weapon 11 turns out to be Deadpool. And if you don't know who Deadpool is a big comic book character in the X-Men comics. Well, big X-Men character in the X-Men comics, and a fan favorite among many X-Men fans who is very much aware that he is a comic book character. He's a fourth wall character. He just breaks the fourth wall. There is absolutely no laws of physics or logic at all whenever this character is around, and he's kind of a smartass. In fact, his whole nickname is the Merc with a Mouth. He never shuts up. He's a very big smartass. He, again, never shuts up. He's really silly and really crazy and really goofy. And a lot of comic book fans like him. And I just started to get into Deadpool and started to read a lot of the comics associated with him. And I can definitely see why a lot of people like him. I can also see why everybody fucking hates Deadpool in this movie. Now, I just want to get clear that in the beginning, where it's Ryan Reynolds playing Wade Wilson, aka Deadpool, that was a great, amazing choice to play Deadpool. I think he should play Deadpool more than Green Lantern. And I'll get to that movie sometime soon. He sucked in, Ryan Reynolds sucked in Green Lantern. I'll get to that sometime soon. But he's a great choice as Wade Wilson because, Ryan Reynolds is infamous for playing, smart-ass, characters that are always running their mouth, always talking shit, and who are really, comedic and really goofy. Great choice for playing Deadpool. And when we see him earlier in the film where he's just, wearing a black tank top, and he's, just killing everybody with his swords, that was great. I'm not going to complain about that. But towards the end, where it's finally revealed what happened to Wade. That is just where everything just turned to absolute shit. Where, again, Deadpool's nickname, and the main reason why a lot of people like him is because his name is the Merc with the mouth. He has a mouth, pretty much. Well, you can't really see his mouth because he has a mask on, but he has a mouth. First of all, he looks nothing like Deadpool in this movie. In fact, he looks more like Baraka from Mortal Kombat, which I'll get to that in a minute. I have a funny story to tell you about, with Baraka and how much Deadpool looks like that in this movie. And they take away his mouth. Yes, the Merc with the mouth has no mouth in this movie. You could not have possibly fucked up this character, and you could have not possibly ass-raped this character if you tried. That's like taking Friendly Neighborhood out of your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man and replacing it with your not-so-friendly neighborhood gangster Spider-Man. So, this is just now the Merc without the mouth. You might as well just completely destroy every other nickname with every other superhero. Batman's the Dark Knight, just call him the Dark Knight, make him a fucking idiot. Or Superman, the Man of Steel, make him the Man of Pillows, and wherever you shoot him, he just fucking dies. Bullshit. His whole that is Deadpool's greatest weapon, is his mouth. It's not a gun, it's not a knife, and even though he uses the weapons, those are not his greatest weapons. His greatest weapon is his mouth, and how much he just annoys the piss out of people with his mouth. It's just, that's his greatest weapon, and you take that away? That's like taking away batarangs from Batman. That's like his greatest weapon. Or again, Superman, taking away like his flying. Yeah, John Peters almost did it, actually. But you're just taking away the best part of the character. Well, not only that, but its costume. Pretty much just Deadpool now. And the funny thing is, this character looks nothing like Deadpool, and yet they still try to make him like Deadpool. Like, they try to have him wear, red pants. Because, most of his suit was red. And, when, in Deadpool's, costume, he had, like, a red mask with these black, circles around his eyes with, little white things where his eyes actually are. Well, in this movie, Deadpool can shoot lasers from his eyes, which he never did in the comics. And when he does, these little black things form around his eyes. You get it? Kind of like in the costume. Like, how can you possibly do a complete 360 of a character and yet still try to make him kind of the same? That's horrible. And also, another thing that they tried to make similar from Deadpool, but just failed miserably, were his katana arms. He has 6-inch katana blades coming out of his arms. Again, very much like Baraka from Mortal Kombat. He just has these giant 6-foot blades coming out of his arm. First of all, if he had 6-foot blades coming out of his arms, whenever the blades were in his arms, wouldn't his arms be like stiff as a board? Like, wouldn't he just be walking like this? And when he actually unleashed them, he could actually bend his arms and do whatever? If he had 6-inch blades, he would not be able to move his arms. He would have to have the blades out constantly. That's horrible. Like Wolverine, it makes sense. Those things are like a couple, like maybe like an inch or like a foot. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not Wolverine. But there's like 6 foot. Like, how would he be able to move his arms? It's horrible. Again, they couldn't have just given him like a couple katanas. And that's another thing. They Stryker, who's kind of our main villain, but, Deadpool, I guess, is our secondary villain. He's rounding up all these different mutants so that he can make the perfect weapon, Weapon 11, which is Deadpool, which is, his name is pulling together, a bunch of mutants together, and hence his name. But his name in the comics was Deadpool because he kind of escaped death. Like, he had cancer, but then he was given the healing factor and it kind of messed up his face. That was why his name was Deadpool in the comics. Here it's completely, again, 360'd and called Deadpool for no damn reason whatsoever. And it's even with Wolverine, like, this whole moon story. Like, no, Wolverine isn't called Wolverine because he's an animal like Wolverine. He's called it because of a Japanese moon story or some fucking bullshit. I don't know. Oh yeah, by the way, there's 2 actors in this that were from John Carter, and I say that because both these actors were in John Carter, which is the chick that plays Silver Fox, a.k.a. Wolverine's girlfriend, and the guy who plays Gambit, Taylor Kitsch, I'm gonna call him that, I don't know. He's a good actor for the most part. He just has been in horrible movies. Have you ever noticed that? He's been just in horrible movies. This movie, well, John Carter was actually alright, but, you know, he's just been in terrible movies so far. Movies that just bombed horribly. He just really needs to get a better agent, that's all I'm saying. But going back to Deadpool, again, they try to make him look kind of like Deadpool from, you know, the comics, but all around, he is nothing like Deadpool from the comics. Horrible. It's absolutely terrible. And there was something else I wanted to talk about, but I'm just forgetting it. What was it? The effects were horrible. The acting all around was pretty bad. It was just an all around bad movie. At one point they tried to set up like Patrick Stewart does make a cameo towards the end of this movie, where all the mutants are being released from 3 Mile Island to sort of set up, you know, an X-Men First Class movie. But they actually did get around to making an X-Men First Class movie. It was actually better than this one. It had nothing to do with this movie. That was a smart choice, by the way. I wouldn't like to have anything to do with this fucking piece of shit either. Hugh Jackman is the only actor that's actually really, really good in this movie, but then again, that's because there is no other man living or breathing who can actually play Wolverine as of right now besides Hugh Jackman, which is really kind of weird, because he's actually like I'm pretty sure he's like a big Broadway actor, playing one of the most manliest superheroes ever. That's pretty ironic, pretty funny at the same time. Just gives you a big insight that anyone can play anyone. It doesn't matter what before they did. That anyone can play anybody. It doesn't matter. Anyone can be anything. So that's really awesome. Hugh Jackman's really awesome in this movie, but everything else just, like, went to shit. There's a few cool fight scenes, I guess, like that whole, you know, fighting on, you know, the nuclear silo thing. I guess that was kind of cool, but it was really totally unrealistic. Like, they're getting kicked around, they're getting thrown around, and, you know that if they got kicked or punched once, they would be falling off that, you know, that whole thing, and then just boom, done. There's nothing really. Here's the thing I wanted to get to. The way that Wolverine loses his memory, Stryker out of nowhere towards the end of the movie after Wolverine kills Deadpool. See after the credits. Actually, don't. It's not even worth it. Just look it up online. Stryker comes out of nowhere and he has a gun with adamantium bullets. And Wolverine is made of adamantium. One of the main reasons why he can't die, and the reason why his claws are metal. And he shoots Wolverine point blank in the head, right in the head, right in the middle, right here. And that's how Wolverine loses his memory and why he has amnesia when we see him in the first X-Men movie. Do I even have to go into why that's just a stupid ass, just why it doesn't make any sense at all? The adamantium man is shot with an adamantium bullet, and he loses his memory. That would not do jack shit. I'm going to take a line from Film Brain from his review of X-Men Origins Wolverine. I'll probably put a link in the description if you want to check that out. It's a really, really funny video. And Film Brain overall is just funny. But his line towards that was, that's like the equivalent of just banging, just, you know, hitting two rocks together. Nothing's going to happen. And that's exactly the point here. Shooting in whatchamacallit, he loses his memory, but nothing would happen. Again, it's like hitting two rocks together. Nothing would happen. He would just get up, and he would just be like, oh, I got shot. I got shot. That happens every other day, and I live until day. Haha, bitch. He wouldn't lose his memory. It doesn't make any sense at all. And that is another, like, now he finally, you know, drops down and he's unconscious. But earlier in the movie, he's shot in the head, and he just walks that off like nothing happened. Even though in the second X-Men movie he got shot in the head and he was unconscious. I guess that only happens with adamantium bullets. Maybe those cops that shot him, you know, had adamantium bullets. Who knew? I'm not sure how they did it in the comics. I really don't know. I'm not sure how they did it in the comics. Maybe if it was different. If they did it in the comics, it was done in the comics. I don't know how they did it here, but whatever. Also, the dude Danny Houston, who plays General Stryker in this movie, the Stryker in X-Men 2 was, like, British, and yet Danny Stryker isn't, not Danny Stryker, I just said his name, I forgot it, what? I don't know, but the dude who plays Stryker here is not British, and the dude who played Stryker in X-Men 2 is. I don't even have to, like, that's just stupid. And this is supposed to be a prequel to all those X-Men movies explaining how, you know, Wolverine became Wolverine. stupid. Just really, it's a horrible movie. It's terrible, all around terrible movie. Do not watch it. Do not see it. Do not rent it. Don't even watch it on TV. It's a horrible movie. Do not please watch it. And my final rating for this movie probably be like a 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10 Wolverine claws. Just 4 out of 10. It's a horrible movie. Don't see it. The only reason why I'm giving it that is because, well, Wolverine and both Liev Schreiber are actually, pretty good in the movie. I can actually buy them as being, brothers and stuff like that. But I guess some of the, action scenes are cool. Like, Wolverine is, a badass kind of character. He does have, some cool moments and whatever. But the movie, nothing, those don't make up for all the other shit in this movie. Everything else in this movie is absolutely horrible. Do not watch it. It's bad. It's bad. Just do not watch it, please. Go see Wolverine. Well, I can't really say that yet because, one, it's not out, and two, who knows if it's going to be good or bad. Who knows? But that's all I have to say about the movie. I will probably go see Wolverine maybe this Friday. I don't know. It depends. I'll see you guys soon. Yeah, see ya.